Greetings, travelers. Today in Misshapenchair's Mediocre Guide series, we dance. Playing Dancer is a spiritual experience, one that requires 0 years of intensive training because dancing is about having fun and enjoying yourself. And drinking. Dancing was invented in previous expansion. It didn't exist in a single Final Fantasy game previously because there are no other Final Fantasy games. Square Enix made Final Fantasy XIV and it's called that because there are 14 alternate timelines with alter ego versions of every character. Dancer used to widely be considered the easiest job to play in the game, but not anymore, thanks to changes in current expansion. Those changes referring to New Summoner. I would say it's a tough call between the two of them. I personally think that Dancer is easier because it has 0 cast times and no melee phases, as opposed to 3 cast times and 1 melee phase, which makes it weird that this video is so long. Also because Dancer has 3 stacks of their gap closer that is extremely flexible to make up for bad positioning. Even though they have infinite mobility to begin with, Enavant is also good to help you overcompensate for slight mistakes and die instead. All of this contributes to Dancer's ease of use and makes you feel even worse for making incredibly basic mistakes. If you are concerned and intimidated about the difficulty of Final Fantasy XIV, then don't be afraid, because every single job in the game is easy to play at a basic level, good enough to clear most high-end DPS checks 3 or 4 weeks after release. Insert P8S was overtuned on release comment here, or I don't know, I didn't run the whole Savage tier. It's just that some jobs are slightly easier than others. The only important Dancer PSA currently is that skill speed is not a massive detriment on the job like it was before, subject to change depending on the patch. So if you are still disgusted by skill speed on gear, it's okay because I don't like the way it feels either, even though it is technically okay now. Is it worth it to make a job feel better for you in terms of GCD speed for the trade-off of doing slightly less damage? Yeah, I think having multiple valid GCD tiers is a good thing. Great. To get you set up to dance at a moderate level, you must understand your place in the universe. Dancer is a job that is disproportionately affected by the most inconsistent variable that plagues all online multiplayer games: other players. If your team is made up of sweaty gaming gods who have never looked at a shower and own 47 body pillows each, then Dancer is absurdly strong. However, if your team consists of me playing on 7 computers while editing an anime review and my covers are in the wash at the same time, it will feel absurdly weak. The job heavily rewards players for lining up cooldowns together, and heavily punishes players for not lining up anything at all. Also known as every single job in Final Fantasy XIV. You know what they say, you're nothing special, we wipe every week. Although, unlike the other physical ranged buff-based job, Dancer is mostly invested in one single individual, to play like the second coming of anime Jesus and Saitama combined with any generic power fantasy isekai protagonist. This is what allows all dancers to achieve a sort of zen within the raid instance. You serve up your piping hot EDM drops while watching AMVs on your second monitor and drinking tea with your other hand while the rest of your party is reaching 9 billion APM and has Splash Mountain coming out of their sweat glands. This is the ultimate Dancer power move, being the mathematical best job of its archetype while being extremely easy to pick up and play, and then still managing to fuck it up. Although in super high level turbo skilled groups, buff alignment is going to be determined ahead of time, but if you're in a group of randoms, you're just gonna press that shit on cooldown every 2 minutes without a care in the world. And simply pray that everybody else does the same. You still have to choose a significant other at the beginning of every instance to receive the bulk of your steroids, then immediately file for a divorce afterwards and repeat. In order to find your ideal partner, there are a multitude of highly complex variables and factors to take into consideration. Gear, player skill, how many GCDs they can land over time, and most importantly, if their outfit matches yours. Choosing a dance partner based on glamour is very standard, along with ensuring that your character is showing as much skin as possible regardless of gender or race. I believe in true gender equality, so where the hell are the bikinis for all the male races, Yoshi P? If you are curious about nerd shit, jobs with high burst and GCD haste are typically your best choices, assuming that everybody is geared and plays around the same skill level. In other words, incomplete fantasy. In current patch, priority generally goes ninja, samurai, monk, reaper, dragoon, and if you have no melee, black mage, summoner, red mage, machinist, bard, dancer. Also subject to change, but it's not as important as it used to be. The last point being that it's still better to dance with another dancer rather than giving partner to a tank or a healer, unless it is the Dark Knight opener specifically, which does 1 billion damage and then you switch off of them because they get real sad after that. Multiple dancers will also have to stagger their tech step and devilments to make this worthwhile, but the real trick is to just not have more than 1 dancer in your party even though it's overwhelmingly popular. Once again proving that luck is the real skill difference between a good and a bad dancer. Now to show you that I can waste your time even more efficiently, dancer filler is the most intricate and highly complex part of Final Fantasy XIV. Press Cascade and press Fountain for the legendary 2-button combo. If you're lucky and roll the correct 50% chance, you get to press shiny proc GCDs of Reverse Cascade and or Fountain Fall. Pressing these has a 50% chance to give you a feather, and spending a feather has a 50% chance to press Fan Dance 3. And if you press that, there's a 0% chance that they'll come back. You can save up feathers for 2-minute burst windows. Or not. Odds are you're going to build up quite a few resources and dump several of them in between 2-minute raid buffs because it feels really good to not have spread out buffs to take advantage of resources that jobs generate a ton of. I'm saying negative things again. I'll counteract this by saying that Dancer looks very pretty. It has lovely animations and great job outfits, easily some of my favorites of everything in Final Fantasy XIV, even though all dancers just run around in 2B leggings and your choice of a skimpy top, especially the male Rogadin dancers. Excellent. Spread those ass cheeks nice and wide because it's opener time. Pre-pull with standard step 15 seconds before combat and make sure that it's charged up so it's the very first thing that you hit the boss with. If you want to use some performance-enhancing substances, do them about 1.5 seconds before the pull. After standard step, immediately tech step. This was taught to you in the Dancer Job Quest story. After your highly sophisticated 4-step dance process, weave Devilment and press Starfall Dance. Then double weave Flourish and Fan Dance 4. Press Tillana and only single weave Fan Dance 3, and then press Saber Dance if you have it. Otherwise, press a shiny button, and if you pre-pulled correctly, press standard step again. After that, just dump all your shiny buttons and any saber dances and weave fan dances if you got them, and always pretend that Fan Dance 3 is going to proc by double weaving it to try to feel something. Now that you have an idea of an example opener, there is slightly more to Dancer than using standard step on cooldown and pressing your 2-minute raid buffs in unison. You also have to press Flourish on cooldown, which gives you your 2 shiny proc GCDs and doesn't overwrite the ones that you currently have. You also have to remember to use the Fan Dance 3 that Flourish gives you first so that you don't overwrite it by accident and use Fan Dance 4 because it exists, making this 1-minute burst phase feel like throwing a roll of toilet paper into the bowl. Hey, you know me, I liked pressing 4 shiny buttons every Flourish in previous expansion and going into melee range because I have melee brain. And now, we sometimes get to press more than 2 GCDs if we have procs going into Flourish, and I don't have to know where max Marth grab range is. This sucks. That's just my negative opinion, but who cares? I just want to press kite. If you wanted to hear something positive from me, you probably should have watched my anime review. In order to maximize your raid buff windows, you usually want to save at least 3 feathers going into it, but you probably won't be saving too much Esperate, and instead use Saber Dance when you have about 75-ish meter, because you're unable to use it in the middle of winding up tech step. We like to avoid overcapping resources in this house. You will usually get a ton of Esperate during burst, and you want to prioritize Starfall Dance and Tillana first, then Standard Step and Saber Dance over any other GCDs and raid buffs. This is how you play the job slightly better if your definition of better is doing marginally more DPS. Regardless of rotational fun and complexity, Dancer also has extra raid utilities such as Curing Walls to weave a heal around you and your partner. Ideally, everyone in the raid is going to stack up nice and closely to maximize both AoE heals because it is not insignificant. Shield Samba is your standard party-wide physical range mitigation skill, but it's cooler because it has the best name. I'll ignore every other standard physical range button. And finally, you have Improvisation, which you can maximize by listening to various jazz solos and mimicking what they do to build up your improv skills. Now you understand how to stand in place during downtime because the use case for quick weaving improvisation was removed.
Actually, you can still get a
Nope, that's fake. Oh, what's that? You want to know how to AoE? Well, your 4-core GCDs all have AoE equivalents. Saber Dance, Starfall Dance, Fan Dance 3 and 4 all have Incidental Cleave. Flourish procs also have AoE equivalents, and you even have an AoE Feather Spender. It's a gain on 3. But Blood Shower is a gain on 2 over Fountain Fall. Yes! Yes! Why is this so stupid? This means that the optimal 2-target rotation is to press Cascade and Fountain and then use your AoE proc skills because Rising Windmill is neutral on 2 targets and Blood Shower is a gain. That feels very good. Congratulations on learning absolutely nothing new because Dancer is basically the same job if you listen to my mediocre tutorials. And that's because immediately weaving Devilment used to be bad, but now it isn't thanks to Tillana and Starfall Dance. Unless you're not high enough level for those, in which case you tech step, weave flourish, press reverse cascade, and then devilment. Once again proving that if I just assert something in these guides, it will become true. So you'll get that clear soon, traveler. But only if you like and subscribe. Now let's get out there and somehow get cleaved by an easy mechanic while playing the most mobile job in the game. I swear I just did it for the YouTube video.